Ladies and gentlemen, right now, if you are watching this or listening to this live or 1 week within the release date of the episode 181, what you don't see. We on the cruise, baby. We on the cruise, baby. You know what I mean? 2025, guys, we've been talking about this for a long time. So we're back again aboard the ship, 8 days, 7 nights. If you listen to this live tomorrow, we will be in the Dominican Republic, then to Puerto Rico, then to St. Thomas.
Oh my God.
Guys, visit MiamiSalsaCruise.com or join our text list, news.MiamiSalsaCruise.com, so that you can go ahead and get subscribed for all the news coming up for 2026. Per this man right here, Mr. Lester Castrillo, we actually advocated for a larger dance floor the following year aboard the Carnival Horizon. It's going to be a little bit shorter, 7 days, 6 nights, but we're super excited about that as this trip continues to grow because of all of you and all of our faithful listeners. So thank you guys so much for that. You guys can actually cop your own shirts on mydanceshirts.com. It's already there for all the previous years, 2023, 2024, 2025, and soon to be 2026. We actually ran out of colors.
Because we're
out of colors. So,
oh my God.
So originally it was the white shirt in 2023. We went to the baby pink in 2024. We got the blue in 2025. So we're thinking about doing some type of fusion or rainbow something.
Oh yeah.
There's the Miami Heat actually have a big inspiration for this. So they have a lot of like the all white or you know they have the like a I don't know. I guess you could say a gradient or a rainbow of the three colors of a white, blue, pink, which is pretty cool too. But we'll switch it up. But we're all really excited about that. So apparently, yet again, our party animal over here had another awesome experience, which has inspired yet another episode. And again, I am completely in the dark. Him and Lester have been masterminding about this episode for a while now, and of course, you know they just have fun on me not knowing nothing. So they like to throw the curveballs at me and see how I can handle it. So Pablo, go ahead and lead us off. Talk to me about what this what you can't see. Is that right? What you can't see.
What you can't see.
What that's about. So go ahead and lead us off there, brother.
So I had a conversation with Mr. Smooth with an E by the way.
Yes.
Smooth.
Smooth. Very important. Because otherwise it would just be smooth, and then that's
boring.
That's not as smooth as smooth. I mean, clearly. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
So I had a conversation, and we were talking about how when you dance with someone, or when you see someone dance, you can basically tell a lot about that person just from looking how they do one thing. Because remember, how you do one thing is how you do everything.
I see what
you actually said that, and I remembered. I was like, oh, let me use that. Whatever.
Aprendiendo.
Yo no soy eterno. But he told me that, and I'm like, oh, I guess I wasn't paying attention because I haven't been able to like tell that about people, or I was able to do that, but then I stopped practicing it. Remember, intention. So
yes,
I actually had class yesterday, Thursday, and I was very, very tired, and we weren't gonna go out. And my students were all like, "Oh, we're gonna go out. We wanna go to Tucandela."
That's
whatever.
all it takes to get Pablo out. You just gotta ask him.
Yeah,
That's all really.
Okay.
Okay. I guess we'll go. And we actually ended up going out, and I said, "Oh yeah, I'll go out for a little bit, you know, to like be more students." I ended up staying for like 2 hours.
Claro.
Yeah, como tiene que ser. Como tiene que ser.
Yo, Mr. Smooth and Mr. Rico clearly goes out for a minimum of 2 hours. That's kind of like it comes with the territory.
Rico, so it's 2.
Correct. It comes with the territory.
If we did Rico, it would be
maybe 3 hours.
But we're starting 2. Perfect logic. All right. So we ended up going out, and I wanted to practice what he told me, which is like paying attention, like who are you dancing with, like what are they like, and by paying attention, I figured out that there's a lot of progress to be made intangibly, meaning that there's a lot that goes on mentally and that is not really physical that you can progress on. And remember, any skill that you start, anything that you like start doing, like let's say you want to get good at pickleball, the fun part of getting good at pickleball is the progress. It's not that you're like super good, it's that you're getting better, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. And so I think let me ask you, Lester, what has been your
Dun.
dun. You in the suspense. Do you feel like when you dance with someone, like you can tell a lot about that person, like tú bailas con ellos and you're like, oh my god, like she's like gentle, or like he's like a little bit rougher, or like he likes to go a little faster, or like stuff like that.
You know what's funny? One of my mentors, his name is Miguel. He actually was one of the ones that told me. And one of the previous socials, when I was starting out, he would tell me, "Oh, when I dance with this person, I feel this, or I can feel certain things." And I remember that stood out to me, and I was like, "How can you tell that by someone dancing?" And that was always something that I never understood until it happened to me. Over time, over practicing, once you start to become more connected to your partner, that's exactly what happens. You get so connected that you can even feel how their mood, if they're having fun, if they're nervous, you start to feel certain things. Obviously, that's what you're referring to intangible.
Right.
And it's a very strong thing when you're dancing with a partner and you're having that connection, that you start to feel those things. And for me, I think as I started to go on through my journey, I started to be able to pick up on that. You said that you started to feel that now, or
No, I think I felt it before, but I stopped um, purposely practicing it. I feel like I
intentionally,
forgot. Like
okay.
it went into the background because
Okay.
I was like, okay, I'm just, tú sabes, soy el profesor de salsa. I want to dance, whatever, and I stopped paying attention. Again, humble. I actually compared it to when I was dancing with my follows. I was actually comparing it to dinner. Like, okay, like how would it be to have dinner with this person or X, Y, Z? Like, you can tell a lot about how other experiences would be because it's all the same. If you dance with someone this way, then when you go to a cruise with them and play dominoes, it's gonna be the same way.
There are common denominators ultimately,
Yes.
and those common denominators, I like that. Those common denominators are going to be shared throughout everything that person does, and hence the phrase "how you do one thing is how you do everything."
Yes.
So absolutely, if we're paying attention to that, you can definitely pick up a lot about a person, and more than anything, I feel that there's a lot of insight that can be provided when you're noticing, or perhaps you're recording yourself, or you're paying attention to how you yourself are feeling. It's like what, and actually, thanks to you, Lester, same thing. I've been reflecting a lot about on myself. What, how do I leave people, right? How am I leaving people, right? It's like, one thing is me, and then another thing is what's the vibe that others are receiving, which of course that requires a lot of intention, that requires a lot of care, and it's much easier said than done. And to be mindful of that is definitely a lot of work, and it goes far beyond, I think we could all agree, a double inside turn.
Yes.
And this is definitely the types of things that we continue to talk about on the show is, who are you representing on the dance floor, as essentially that is who you are. Who you are on the dance floor is the same person that you are at dinner, is the same person that you are at work. So just to be intentional with that, and it doesn't have to be complex. It could just be you, and FYI, that's enough.
Let me give an equivalent actually, because yesterday I was dancing and I actually felt like the turns were getting in the way of me connecting with my partner. Like,
say that one more time.
and we already know that that's something common knowledge.
But it's okay. That's okay. Let's say it again.
The turns were getting in the way of me connecting with my partner.
In the way.
In the way, like yeah, it was becoming an obstacle. And of course, we already know that, like, so it like
Yeah.
101 salsa. But
to be fair to all my listeners out there, and Pablo,
también.
stay humble. That is not basics. That is not 101.
Oh, okay.
And that's what we're hopefully eventually trying to make it so that it is. But it's a beautiful thing to hear that coming from you. And I hope that you guys, for those of you that have been listening to the show, are installing that mindset, that the material can become an obstacle for you expressing who you are. Can. Or they can be a tool to help you express who you are if coming from that right place.
Right. And I think the equivalent of the turns getting in the way when you're dancing and not being able to figure out who your partner is and connect and all that good stuff is you go into dinner and I guess focusing on, oh, I'm gonna buy the expensive lobster to impress her, or doing this
Nice.
or doing that, or
Nice.
like just throwing material things around when that's not the objective. Dinner is for you and your partner to be able to talk and
It's
figure
the
out.
excuse to connect.
Right, exactly.
Absolutely. So you were saying, you started off by saying, which I liked, that the learning process or the growth process is what's fun.
Yes, I feel like, let's imagine a mountain, and you have the bottom of the mountain and the top of the mountain, and you obviously here you want to get here. The fun part is not getting here; is the way to getting there.
The journey.
Yes, and that might sound very cliche and very like, I don't know, like very stereotypical, but yeah, it is the fun way over there. And once you get there, a lot of people, what happens is that they get to their goal or like they achieve whatever they wanted, and they're like, what's next?
Now that you talk about that, there was a show I was watching, and it was very very interesting how they were talking about something like that too,
Yeah.
and how learning in the process. And there was the question was what's better, uh, the destination or the journey? And the answer blew me away because instead of either or, it was more of the company.
Yes, I saw recently something on that too.
It was the company.
Yes.
And it's so much like that we're emphasized, especially us in our organization, we emphasize the connection, the community, that the company is what allows you to grow even that much further because you're not so much focused on the goal, but the actual experience, which is what you want to, incorporate every single time that you're
Yes.
dancing. Which is interesting that he's saying about the intangible because it happened to me personally too. That I remember that I would do certain turn patterns. Like for example, like if you're doing multiple turns at once, but if you're not connected to your partner, you fail to realize if that person is ready to do 2 or 3 or 4 turns because you're sacrificing that connection with your partner, which is the intangible that you want to work on as well, not just your tangible, because it'll they'll crash into each other. You know what I mean?
I feel like there's nothing like the first dance you dance with someone, even if it's like if you get to a social, like the first dance you dance with, vamos a poner que está follow A, follow B, and follow C, and I'm saying follows because we're elite, so imagínate.
Mhm.
I feel like the first dance you have with each of them is gonna be the most effective, or the first dance is the dance where you're gonna get to know them the most, and if you
Most telling.
yeah, the most telling. And if you just spend the entire day doing turns, like you miss your best opportunity in the entire night to like actually meet that person and be like, "How are you? Who are you? I want to dance with you." Like, at least that's what I felt. Like the more dances I did with someone, the more diluted, or the bigger or of what is the word of a not a resistance, but a tolerance I built. Like it wasn't as fun. It wasn't as like, oh, like I found out this about you. I found that about you.
Wasn't as magical, maybe?
Yeah, because it's not new.
Right. Less new.
It's less new. Right.
Right.
I feel like that's the point. Like the first time is like the time you should be paying the most attention. By
Well,
far.
yeah, because it's all new data at the end of the day, right?
Right.
And ladies, I can only imagine what it's like to be dancing with all of these different leads, and even more so, how on the flip side, how how boring and or monotonous that it could be when everyone's leading you through the same things. Obviously, they all feel very different, but it's the intention can seem very repetitive very very quickly. Hence, for our leads, that we continue to try and pass on the message of, just be yourself, and in that way, that it'll always be unique, regardless of what is it that you're the actual physical, tangible thing that you're trying to do. Having fun in the process.
Let me ask you a question to both of you guys.
Okay.
When you dance with someone, what is like things that you can tell about that person?
That's actually funny. That was the question that I was trying to brew. For
My
you.
bad. My bad. I literally
It's
like
okay.
boom.
You beat me to the punch. That's fine. That's fine. Lester, rock, paper, scissors. Go first. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So that means I go first? No, you win. You go
No, I
first.
win, I The question again?
So when you're dancing with someone, what are like things that you can tell about that person? What are things that you like that you can tell?
So I've been dancing for those of you that don't know, my name is Lester. I've been dancing for
Hi, Lester.
Hi, Lester.
I've been dancing for close to 8 years, and over that time period, there's a number of things that I've been able to pick up, and that sensitivity, that connection, has been one of those where I can sense whether someone's feeling good, someone's having a great day, or they're nervous. I can sense all of those things.
Those are good.
Which is those are the intangibles that it's actually pretty cool because you're connected, because we're so focused on connecting and seeing the other side. Let's say if as an instructor, people already feel intimidated when they dance with me, especially if they know that I'm an instructor. So you can start to feel the nerves. That's me connecting to them and trying to see and make sure that I'm trying to give off the okay, it's all right, it's okay, you're brand new. Let's just have fun. I'm able to feel their mood, their how they're doing, if they're having fun. I can sense all those things because of the connection. So I think that those would be the little things that I can feel in their experience as well, how much they've danced. If, like I was saying, like if they're doing a certain turn, because I'm connected to them, there's some ladies that can do 1, 2, 3, or 4 turns. But if you're connecting to them, you can feel if they're willing, if they're ready to do the next turn. So I always try to gauge that as much as I can.
Nice. I like it. So some of the things that I guess you could say I'm able to see a little bit of their personality.
Yes. Oh, that's a very good point.
That's what I was on it. Yeah.
As well, and I think mood definitely starts there.
Yeah. It's almost like it's hard to cut you off.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how you notice somebody's body language without having to connect with them.
Yeah.
With when you dance with somebody, it's kind of like a musical body language, if that makes sense. It almost feels that way because we're so connected that you can feel how they're feeling in a sense if you're really connected, which is actually something really cool that as I went through my journeys, that's when I went back to what my mentor told me. One of my mentors told me, you can feel how they are, or you can feel the personality. If they're cocky, or if they're having fun, or if they're shy, or they're sad, you can feel all those little things. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No. That's beautiful. Accurate.
Yeah.
And
It's actually pretty cool.
The way, again, rooting back in the idea that how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? So, let's say, I guess the only way that I can really describe it is in examples. So let's say, and it seems like I'm gonna have to get nitty gritty here, so I'm gonna zoom in. So picture this with me. And actually, I'll try to do this for the follows too to represent leads.
Yes.
That's gonna be a little bit more tricky but that's okay. So let's say, for example, a lead is given and she'll finish it. We'll disconnect as in like I got it and then finish it sooner than what was actually being led. And that may be consistent. So there's that, which is almost like a I don't need no man type of vibe, right? Then there's a not connected at all, and it's all based on visual cues. And that's more of like a nervous, trying to figure this out overthinker, right? Then there's the I'm doing this my way. I don't care how you're leading me. Could be heavy, right? Which is not necessarily a bad thing because you're staying true to yourself.
True to yourself, yeah.
Which is again not necessarily a bad thing, but it can be heavy. But perhaps if heavy, quote unquote, but you've been dancing for a really long time, that could be perceived as lazy. Um, Again, it's all perspective at the end of the day.
Right.
So that's a few examples. Um, there's also really hard frames, right? Really, really hard frames, which in general is just more like a standoffish, scared,
Right.
like
Not easily to trust.
yeah, not easily trust. That's exactly.
Right.
Doesn't trust easily.
Someone actually said that one of my students, sorry to cut you off, was telling me how how do they stop being so stiff? And I ended up asking them questions as far as like personal questions, like outside of class, and asked them a little bit about themselves. For instance, she was a single mom,
Boom. That's it.
single
Booyah.
mom, two kids, and she's the head of the household. And basically, based on the questions that I was asking her, I was starting to see where it was coming from. Those are the things that I sometimes do with my students, and I was able to take understand that the reason why she's so I guess a certain way is because of what happens outside of class.
Correct.
It's a very huge thing, and what I was able to do, especially with her, after I knew that information, I was able to tell her, hey, just relax, like here, just let all your troubles, let all your things out there, because when you come here, allow yourself to be led, allow yourself to feel free, allow yourself to relax and be able to have fun. That's very, very important, very huge.
Right. Yeah. So all those things that carries over.
Yep.
So again, leads and same thing with follows, and I'll try and do the flip side now as far as for examples is concerned. But just understand that again who you are is represented through your dance. Now, generally speaking, these are for people that have danced a little bit longer, essentially that are not copying exactly what their instructor has said.
Right.
They're a little bit more comfortable, and this can probably start even as soon as 1 to 2 months.
Yeah.
Where they're starting to if they start to become more comfortable, they can start to represent themselves a little bit more. Even though, of course, they immediately represent themselves immediately when they show up.
Yeah.
But a lot of the instructor's influence is very, very present in the first few classes.
I think so. Yeah.
So, for example, on the ladies' side, every single one of you have danced with that perfectly led, really rough guy. That's the one that's probably extremely hard-headed. The one that thinks he knows absolutely everything, and he needs to yell at you to tell you to do everything. I'm sure you've all have experienced that one. Then obviously there's the guy who's really, really like, and I wouldn't even say light, almost even non-existent.
Right.
And that's the one that expects you to do everything. And for that reason, he probably goes the same way in his life, expecting you to do everything or expecting you to know everything. Who takes more of a back seat in the relationship, which again, different styles of relationship. That's just how it goes. Completely up to that person. But again, follows it. How you do one thing is how you do everything, right? Then there's, the one who's more about themselves. They're more focused on showing out and showing off themselves and less, putting you on a platform, right? There's a 1-to-1 ratio there, right?
It says a lot about them.
It says a lot. It says a lot about them, right? Ideally, in the perfect world, right, he's making you do things that you couldn't otherwise do alone, while minimizing himself as much as possible. You, of course, know that what's happening is because of the clarity and the energy that he's providing for you, not just in the physical, but in the intangible.
Right.
That's making you feel a certain way, that you can smile in a certain kind of way, or that you can move in a certain kind of way. And again, we're not talking about mid-turn pattern. We're talking about in your basic. How is this basic different because of what he's able to kind of give off in that sense. And again, all of these things can really, really, really be fun in an intangible way as we exercise the way to kind of do that for one another.
Right.
How can we be the light in the relationship? How can we be the light in the dance? How can we be the inspiration, the leader energetically?
Yes.
If and for the most part, if you're dancing longer that's on you, right? You should be not having the other person feel down because they know less or have been dancing less than you versus uplifting them. Uh, and of course, you having a good time in the process.
I feel like the equivalent, and I'm using dinner as an example because I feel like it's
Tiene
the
hambre,
equivalent.
seguro que tiene hambre.
Tengo hambre.
Pobrecito, pobrecito.
I feel like the equivalent of dancing with someone who knows less and you doing the same complicated stuff that you do, like tú le vas a hacer un montaña a alguien que just started to know how to dance. No, I feel like the equivalent of that is like taking someone who's maybe not a foodie or who doesn't have that much of a food like knowledge or appreciation to like a like a 3-star Michelin star, 6
They won't
course
be able to appreciate it 'cause they don't
meal,
have the experience.
and then yelling at them when they can't appreciate the food.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
I feel like
very
that's the
good.
equivalent.
That's very good.
that's a
Very
great example.
Right.
Yeah, like
It's just excuse.
and lit. I gotta call out my ladies on this one.
Ideal.
And I normally call out the guys.
I
You
do.
know. Ladies, understand that the dance is your realm. I don't know if there's another podcast where there's 3 guys on a salsa dance thing talking about this. Like this is generally less popular. So you expecting your man or you expecting your male partner to be as passionate about this dance thing as you are is extremely rare. So keep that in mind. Like it's a lot to even have a partner, and I think I forget what episode number it is. Partners who don't dance. Check that out. I think it's in the first maybe 20.
Let me see if I can.
Yeah, if you can find that, that'd be great. Partners that don't dance. I thought it was a great episode. But anyways, just to have a partner that will go out dancing with you, period, regardless of the skill level, I think is truly a treasure. So if you have someone, if you have a life partner that is willing to go dancing with you, and perhaps not even share the dance floor, but just to go out and sit while you dance, is
Number
is to be
7.
commended. Number 7. It was one of the first ones.
Yeah.
So there you go. Number 7, partners who can't dance. As of course, in my experience, I can't even begin to tell you, leads, men, how many ladies have come up to me. It's like, oh my God, my boyfriend doesn't dance, or oh my God, I'm no longer with my ex because he doesn't dance, or like it went on and on and on and on and on. So gentlemen, make sure that you provide that outlet for her if dancing is that thing for her, which most of the time it is. To give her that opportunity. I think we're kind of going off topic here, but
Yes.
but that's definitely the idea. So the things that you don't see, the things that you don't see, we're talking about the intangibles that we can learn in the process. Basically, the learning that can happen outside of the physical realm.
Yes.
Did we hit that right? Did we touch that?
I feel like we hit it on the head. It's a
Okay.
skill. At the end of the day, the more you do it, the more you're gonna be able to tell.
100%.
But the most important thing is that the more you practice that, the more connected you're going to be with the follow, which is basically the point of why we're dancing. It's not just to do, but to connect.
Boom.
That was the nail on the head.
Damn, Lester. Bam.
Yeah,
But
man.
beautiful.
La sopita.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right, guys. The dance is the excuse. The dance is the excuse to connect with one another. The same way that you can connect over dinner. Thank you, Pablo.
I got you, bro.
That was really good. Those were actually really good.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, where's he going with this?
Oh, yeah. No.
And they were.
I'm not hungry. I'm not hungry.
Normally, I'm hungry.
Tiene hambre. Sí tiene hambre. Los dos tiene hambre, pobrecito. So absolutely, guys. So keep that in mind when you ask somebody to dance, right? Or ladies, when you say yes to a dance, allow that to be a connection point. Allow that to be a shared space, where you're able to get to know one another, right? And then, of course, if you like that energy or how that feels, then of course you can share that space yet again.
Last thing. Actually, just to finish it off, like practicing that is actually fun because it's a challenge. How much can you tell about the other person
Nice.
and dance and have fun? Like, I feel like that's fun. Like, how much can you tell about the other person and how different each one is? Because you're gonna realize every single dance is super different.
Absolutely.
And I feel like the more practice you have with that, like, I mean, you said it. You say it all the time. Every single dance should be different because even if you're dancing with the same person, they're not the same person they were when you danced with them before. And they're probably feeling different. And it's probably a different song. and it's a different place, and puedo seguir with the variables. But you get the point.
Absolutely, 100%. And I agree. I agree. That's definitely, there's a lot of fun in the challenge. That's a great way to put it.
Yes.
Of how deeply can you connect in 3 minutes, or 4, or 7,
Or
for
5.5.
for some of these live band songs that they got going on. But definitely allow yourself to embrace that. And sometimes that connection, sometimes that song is longer, and we're so try to be so intense in the first 30 seconds. We're already taking out all of our cards that when it's time for minute 3, minute 4, we ran out 2 minutes ago of your tangible stuff, and now you're out, you're done. And it actually asks you, it forces you to pull out you, because that's all that's left, right? So the exercise would be to do that from the beginning, and to go ahead and whip out, a fettuccine alfredo as a topping. It has nothing to do with you. It's just an accent. Hey, when you hang out with me, you get fettuccine alfredo. Or when you hang out with me, you get, I don't know.
I'd like to see it.
Mint chocolate chip, whatever your favorite ice cream is.
I like to see that, especially I like to, at least me personally, I like to compare them to dates.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you're constantly you're going on little dates. Like that moment that you're connecting, you're not gonna ask a gazillion questions in the beginning of the date. You're going to allow it to flow. Yep. And then once you stop asking the questions, then the conversation starts to flow, which happens in dance. Instead of having to put all your turn patterns in the beginning, just allow it to flow and connect to each other.
Absolutely. And of course, the music being the inspiration.
Right.
For that. Another challenge I've mentioned in the past too is allow yourself to dance to songs that you like. Don't feel obligated to dance. And for those of you that know me for a while, I'm not dancing anymore when I don't feel like dancing. Like I dance when I want to dance, because
I think that's fair.
That's the idea. I dance when I'm inspired to dance. The music moves me. I'm not going to move to the music. The only exception to that is when a follow is inspired by the music and then asks, versus, and I can tell the difference. So absolutely, guys, I challenge you to look at the things that you can't see. Focus on those things, and you'd be surprised at how much fun that you can have beyond, the tangible. But thank you guys. Lester, our honored guest, un aplauso para Lester, our honored guest today on our
still new to this, so I'm trying to
on our Rico recap.
Pick up.
You'll be seeing a lot more of Lester for sure.
Yes.
He's been talking about coming on here for a while now. So as we start to build out the studio and stuff, we'll definitely be getting a lot more guests, considerably more, as we start to bring on follows and get their insights and thoughts.
Oh, that's gonna be a lot of fun.
Oh, it's gonna be a ton of fun, as we can really get into the nitty gritty, which is wonderful, and I got no problem putting anybody on blast. So that's gonna be great. Guys, let us know what you think, or an experience that you've had where you felt like you really got to know somebody on the dance floor. Lester at salsakings.com, Pablo at salsakings.com, Andres at salsakings.com. We love you guys so much. Andres Fernandez, Pablo Rico Peña, Mr. Lester Castrillo. Thank you again for coming on with us.
Got it. We're excited about the cruise.
Have a cruise, baby.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram.
Yes.
Miami Salsa Cruise.
Miami Salsa Cruise.
Check us out.
Check it out. See you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.